What is up? If you guys have not seen the full fights, I just recommend you to bounce right now, because this is a recap of just the Edson Barboza fight, because that's all I tuned in for tonight. And the Frankie Edgar fight. Um, People thought Frankie Edgar, for an example, was taking the fight too early and coming back too early after his knockout when he fought Brian Ortega, but Frankie Edgar did what he did, and Frankie did win that fight. You know, he won it unanimously. He did it in the Frankie Edgar style, winning with boxing and moving, and Frankie still is one of the top guys at 145 pounds. Some people are saying, why didn't he go to 135? Why? When he's still doing good at 145. He wants a rematch or a title fight in his next fight. I believe that's what he deserves, and that's what I believe he deserves, because he is, in my mind, pretty much the number one guy in the 145-pound division. He dominates 99% of every fighter he ever fights. He's just that great. He just has never won the 145-pound title. So, I think Frankie Edgar deserves a title fight, but we'll see what happens between Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega coming up. And then you got the main event of UFC Fight Night, which was Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. And Kevin Lee just dominated that fight. You know, what somebody said during the live stream that I was doing of this fight, they said, Edson Barboza, that guy sucks. He sucks with the takedowns. He cannot stuff a takedown. And that's what Edson Barboza is losing by, is getting taken down and viciously and violently ground and pound. Edson Barboza has taken so much damage in his last two fights. It's ridiculous. He doesn't need to be taking this much damage. His corner, after the second round of him just getting his face blasted, they needed to stop the fight. Throw the towel in. Throw the freaking towel in. You don't need to see Edson Barboza just get his fucking ass whooped. Okay? After two fights of him just getting ground and pound, you need to throw the towel in. You see Joe Lozon's last fight, they threw the towel in because they wanted to save his their man from getting his ass whooped. So Edson Barboza cannot stop a takedown. He's just getting completely dominated, elbows after elbows. Finally, the doctor had to step in and say, dude, it's enough. The dude needs to stop. It's enough. He's just getting his ass whooped. Okay? Yeah, Edson landed a spinning wheel kick that actually had Kevin Lee wobbled, that most guys would have been knocked out. But the dude, Edson, he's just getting his ass handed to him. I don't know what more you can say. Edson got, Barboza got dominated by Kevin Lee on the ground, just completely dominated. And he got completely dominated by Khabib. Those guys are taking him down. And I don't know what Edson needs to do, but he needs to go back to the drawing board and actually just start just working on wrestling. His wrestling defense sucks. He was just getting his face bashed in. And I'm a dude who loves watching Edson fight. I love watching Barboza with his spinning back kicks, his elbows. But that dude, it's like his fighting style is very flashy, very fast, and in your face. But it doesn't work against high-level wrestlers, because once you can take the guy down, you're fucking finished. And that dude is finished. That dude is just completely dominated. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Edson Barboza is a guy who is a well-rounded fighter? Or is he just a one-dimensional guy, but because he can't defend himself on the off his back, he doesn't throw any submissions, he basically lays and prays and lays there and gets beat up? He needs to start thinking about maybe retiring or thinking about some fucking other thing, because the dude is just getting his ass whooped. And for me as a fan, I don't want to see a guy just going there week after week after week every time he fights and just gets taken down and beat down. Yes, Edson Barboza was on a massive fight winning streak, like a 5-6 fight winning streak until he fought Khabib. But Khabib broke him. And I think what happened, like Kevin Lee says, he gets broken in these fights, emotionally broken when he gets taken down and he can't defend himself. he gets broken. He's physically and mentally broken. And that's exactly what's happening. He's getting taken down and just getting beat down, and he has no answer for it. And his cardio goes like that right out the window. And it's a weird situation, man, because Edson used to be a guy that people were like, yeah, he's going for a title fight. He's going to be winning. Then I think he fights Tony Ferguson and loses. Then he fights Khabib and loses. Then he fights Kevin Lee and loses. Kevin Lee impressed me tonight with his stand-up and his takedowns. His takedowns are kind of more boring than what Khabib does, but what do you guys think, man? I just think Edson Barboza needs to go back to the drawing board. I know he trains out of the same facility as Frank Yeager, if I'm not mistaken, but the dude just, I don't know if his heart, his will is broken and he's just not in it anymore, but was it a good stoppage that the doctor came in and said, haha, enough is enough? Yes. I was saying, I tweeted to Luke Thomas in the second round, I said, dude, they need to stop this fight. And Luke Thomas, after the fight, said, Edson Barboza in the last 2 fights have taken significant damage, way more than he should. And I believe sometimes it's up to the corner to throw the towel in and say, man, it's enough. My man's getting too beat down. It's enough. And people would have agreed. They would have said, okay, it's okay that you're a tough guy, but you're just getting beat on and you're not defending yourself. The fight should end. So I believe that if I was his corner man, I would have thrown the towel and say, nah, man, you're not doing nothing. I'm going to save you from potentially injuring yourself and maybe never having a good career anymore, you know? I just believe the wrestlers are taking over. If you're a high-level wrestler and you can ground and pound the shit out of somebody like Khabib or Kevin Lee, you're going to be a dominating fighter. You can't just be a one-dimensional fighter in MMA anymore. Maybe Barboza 5-10 years ago would have been dominating, but today he can't hang and bang because he cannot stop the takedowns, and that's the problem. He can't stop the takedowns that these fighters are giving him, you know? Maybe the UFC needs to give him strikers that won't take him down. Then he could kick their head off, you know? But now we know, if Khabib takes you down, just ground and pound you, that's what Kevin Lee did. He took him down at will because that's exactly what he wanted to do. That's exactly what he knew was going to win the fight, was taking him down. He did the same thing to Tony Ferguson. He took him down at will. And Kevin Lee is a high-level wrestler, so he's going to take you down and ground and pound you. That's exactly what he is. He has good enough hands to stand and bang and kicks, and he's going to take you down. So what's next for Kevin Lee? I think Kevin Lee is going to probably maybe get a title fight, or it's going to be another him versus Tony. He's way up there in the rankings, man, because right now it's Khabib versus Conor. If Conor ever happens, I don't know if it's going to be Dustin Poirier versus Khabib. I really don't know. Because I don't really know what's going on with the whole Conor McGregor situation. I don't know if Conor McGregor is going to be competing, not competing. I really don't know, and I really don't give a shit about Conor McGregor. I really don't care about that guy, you know. I just believe if you look at his Instagram page, he's showing old garbage. Like his last post was like, UFC 205, the best time of my life where I won 2 titles. Yeah, UFC 205 was like 2 years ago, sir. Stop posting old shit. And that's exactly what you guys might be thinking. If you guys go to his Instagram page, it's like a fighter who relives the past because they're not fighting anymore. Like a retired guy, like a retired NFL player, a retired military worker. They will always tell you the story that, hey, when I was in the military, I did this, this, and this. And you go, yeah, you were in the military like 20 years ago. And you go, yeah, but I did this, this, and this. That's what Conor's doing. He's uploading crap that doesn't mean anything, that's not relevant anymore. And Khabib keeps saying, give me a time, give me a place, I'll fight you in the octagon, give me a place. And even Khabib saying he's not going to wait long. He's just going to keep the monster of the UFC moving. He's not going to just sit there and wait. And I agree with that. You can't just sit there and wait wait and wait, you know. Khabib said he'd wait until like September, okay? And then he said he's not waiting any longer. So, do you guys want to see Conor versus Khabib? I definitely want to see it. I want to see Khabib smash him and beat him up. But the bottom line is, you're never going to probably see that fight. Conor will never come out and feed. Even if Conor wins that fight, you know, even if Conor goes out and beats Khabib, is he ever going to finish his defending his title? I don't know. But tonight, like I said, was all about Kevin Lee dominating Barboza. And Barboza just got completely dominated, you know. I don't understand how you can be this high level of a striker, but your grappling is garbage, you know. I can't believe that, you know. I can't believe you're ranked number 5 in the UFC's lightweight division, and you can't stuff a takedown. You can't get off your back when you're getting taken down. I understand it's a difference when you're getting ground and pound and viciously hit, but there is some fighters like Frank Yeager, or like I say Mark Hunt, you take him down, Mark Hunt will pop back up even when you're swinging, and Mark Hunt's not even a great wrestler or a great grappler, you know? It says Barboza is just one of those guys that he should not be fighting wrestlers, and that's the bottom line, you know? I believe Edson is a great fighter. Edson will be back, but he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and they're both to wrestlers. So, what's next for Barboza? I really don't know, man. I really don't know what's next for Barboza. What's next for Kevin Lee actually impressed me, you know. He didn't come in fully at weight, so he's losing some of his money, but he's a beast. I will not deny that. I've only seen 2. I don't really believe it's going to be Khabib because they say Dustin Poirier is going to get the next title fight, unless it's Conor. But I think what should happen is Khabib. I think Khabib versus, I think what it should be is Kevin Lee versus Dustin Poirier should be the next fight. You know, I think Dustin Poirier versus Kevin Lee would be a hell of a fight, but you know, Kevin Lee is just coming off a loss, winning, and now he's he has 1 loss and 1 win. So I would agree that Tony Ferguson deserves a title fight. I believe that Dustin Poirier deserves a title fight because Dustin Poirier is on like a 6-fight winning streak, and I believe he has the opportunity to win that title. But where's Conor McGregor all in this shit? You know, I want to know where Conor McGregor sits in this shit. Do you guys even care about Conor McGregor anymore? Because personally, I don't give a crap about that guy. He uploads country. What do you mean country? No, I said Conor. I said I don't give a shit about Conor anymore, you know? He's irrelevant, really. He's really irrelevant if you look at his Instagram page, what he's posting, irrelevant shit. But I still think the next title fight should be either Khabib Tony, which the UFC says they're never going to make, or it should be Dustin Poirier Khabib. I don't know if Kevin Lee deserves a title fight, but after this performance, I definitely would rank him up as like number 3 or number 2 in the world. I definitely would put him behind Tony Ferguson. You know, that dude, Kevin Lee, is a beast. There's nothing more that I can say, man. He did what Khabib did, but it looked like his shots were more violent than Khabib's when he was on the ground. But Kevin Lee did impress me. And then we're going to talk about, do you guys think after Max Holloway's title fight, Frank Yeager should get the next title fight? Because Frank Yeager did what he did. Went in there and won the fight with his hand. And I think it was Nick Diaz said in the UFC, Frank Yeager has one of the best stand-up games. Like, his boxing is that great. He says he actually boxes like a traditional boxer. He throws the jab correctly. He has foot movement correctly. And I agree with Nick and Nate Diaz, because Nick and Nate Diaz are hella good boxers, and they train with professional boxers on a daily basis. So I agree that Frankie Edgar is probably one of the best boxers in MMA. He gets overlooked by that all the time, but he won with the jab and just overwhelming his opponent tonight. And I still believe he deserves a title fight. You know, is this going to be his last title fight ever? Probably. I believe he's in the same realm as Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber went like 6 title fights and lost every one of them. And then the UFC was finally like, we're not going to give you any more title fights. So I believe that's where Frankie Edgar is. If he can't win this next fight, if it's a title fight, there's nothing more left for him. You know, there's nothing. I mean, he could fight big events and big super fights, but there's nothing left for him as a title contender. But as always, guys, Kevin Lee won tonight by completely dominating, and then the referee had to stop the fight. When the referee stopped the fight, I was like, that's good, because Edson Barboza was just getting too whooped. Some referees would have stepped in and say, hey, it's enough. Yes, he was moving and defending. Well, really wasn't defending himself. He was just moving and transitioning and holding his head like this because he couldn't really do much. But it is what it is, guys. Tonight's fights were pretty good. The only, like I said, the only 2 fights that I watched were Kevin Lee versus Barboza and Cub Swanson versus Frankie Edgar. And for me, Frankie Edgar is #1 contender behind Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. And then you got Kevin Lee, which is, I would say, behind Dustin Poirier for a title fight. So as always, remember to rate, even if you hate, comment, and subscribe. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button. My name is Trevor, baby, and I'm always back with another video. And these live streams, I think, are better than just recording the video and uploading it, because I get more feedback this way. And doing it live, it's kind of just like a Joe Rogan podcast, kind of. And I like shooting the shit with you guys. So, I was going to give you guys a link. If you guys go into the description box, there is a link to a Twitter page where you guys can see the full Kevin Lee fight. You can see the full fight up there on this Twitter page. You just got to go to the Twitter page and then scroll through the timeline, and you can see that the person did post three live videos of the fight. So with that being said, I will definitely see you guys in the next one, because I got to hit the bricks. I got to get up in the morning, because I got work in the morning, because I always got to go make that cheddar. I got to go make that money. But I always stay up a little bit late for the UFC, because the UFC is the only sport I really give a damn about. And this fight card was mediocre at best. I'll say the co-main event and the main event were good. The rest of the fight card I didn't even care about, because I didn't really even watch it. But as always, my phone's about to die. It's at like 4%, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Deuces!